389 Gaming.
I have not been able to make tea for 3 days. 3 days. Do you guys know what that's like? That's like forever. Now, I did have some tea yesterday. I'm okay. One of my lovely friends made me a cup yesterday. I'm very thankful for that. You guys have no idea, what it's like to not be able to make tea. Hello, my name is Justin, also known as Gar389. How are you all? I'm good. I've been dead for about a month now. To be honest, I don't really know what's been going on. There's been a lot of reasons why I haven't posted anything recently. I actually tried to make a couple videos. It's just, I was not doing too well with those videos. They didn't turn out right, so I scrapped them. I tried to make a vlog, scrapped that because, I just basically ended up rambling. I decided this time I'm just going to write stuff down. That'll help me find out what I'm doing a little bit better than last time where I had like 2 notes. Those were the topics I wanted to talk about, and I ended up just, rambling. I'm rambling now, but that's okay because now I am rambling in an organized manner. That is what I was trying to say. Right. So today I figure, let's talk a little bit about the PS4 and the future of gaming. Not because I can bring anything new to the table. I mean, the PS4 has been talked about to death, so I'm not going to talk about the specs of the PS4. I'm not really even going to talk about the games for the PS4. I just want to talk about my feeling about the advent of a new generation of gaming, because it's actually very important to me, because, I'm an avid gamer. I love to play video games. But they've kind of been ruined on me recently. I'm bored of gaming. I know that may sound weird to you, and it's not really that I'm completely bored of gaming. It's not that I've stopped playing games. It's that I'm bored. I need something new. I need something exciting. Now, there have been a lot of steps in my life that were exciting. When I got my Nintendo 64, that was exciting. I was young. I hadn't had a console since like the Super Nintendo, which is obviously the last generation, but there was a long gap in there before I actually got the Nintendo 64. It had been out a while by the time I got it. And that was a big thing for me because it opened up new avenues for me, new games that I hadn't played, and it was exciting, it was different. The same with the GameCube. When the GameCube came out, it opened up all these possibilities for me. And I was still young. I didn't get games that often, so gaming was a little bit more exciting back then. Not only did I have more time for it, but I also, did not get as many games, so I did not spoil myself like I do now, where I'll buy like a game every month, maybe more than a game a month. A little bit dependent on, if there's a game that I want right now, I can spontaneously buy it because I actually have my own money now. And, it's just, I kind of feel like we need to move forward. Now, this generation of gaming, it was exciting. I remember waiting for the Wii to come out. Like, the Wii was going to be this new revolutionary gaming console. I didn't get it. I was really, really excited for it. I was hyping it up, and then it came out, and I didn't like it. So I didn't buy it. I did eventually get a Wii, though. I had a girlfriend a while back. She wanted it because it was, something we could play together. It was a little bit more active. She didn't want to sit on her butt with a controller in her hand like I did. But, we ended up sitting on our butts with a controller in our hand that we had to move around. So that's how that worked out. I don't mind the Wii. It's fine. But I am a console gamer. And by that I mean, in the traditional sense. I like to sit down, relax, with a controller in my hand, and play video games. If I want to work out, I go to the gym. And I do go to the gym. So, What have I been up to lately? I've actually been playing Mass Effect. I just got back into that. I picked up... this is actually something from this current generation that I haven't finished yet. I played a little bit of Mass Effect 1, or, well, I guess it's more than halfway through Mass Effect 1, but I haven't played the rest of the series. So I picked up Mass Effect, the Mass Effect Trilogy Collection, whatever it's called, for the PS3. I picked it up for 600 kroner, which is reasonable in Norway. That's basically the price of a new game. If you want to know what the equivalent amount of dollars is, it cost about $95 to $100. That's about as close as I can get to it. I guess closer to 95. And you may be thinking, if you're from the US, that's outrageously expensive. Well, actually, that's the price of a normal game in Norway. Everything is outrageously expensive in Norway. It is I believe it is the second most expensive country in the world after Japan. And it's sometimes the most expensive. They tend to switch a little bit. But it is not the most expensive place to buy video games, because that is Australia. Australia is absurdly expensive for current generation video games. And I'm not actually sure if it's always been that way, but I think it's particularly like this generation. It was extremely expensive because of some legislation that was put in place. So I've been getting into that, and you know, Mass Effect's one of the hallmark games of this generation. It's in a lot of ways it kind of pegs how this generation has been. It's an RPG game with, you know, story elements and everything, but it's also a shooter. And that brings me to what's really burning me out about this generation of games is the shooters. Everything is a shooter. All of the Hallmark games, Halo, Call of Duty, Mass Effect, Crysis, Gears of War, Uncharted, all of these games are either shooters or have, you know, shooting as like a major gameplay element. And it's been like that the whole time. Like, we started off with like Warhawk. Warhawk was good. And then, you know, Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4 was awesome. It completely changed, you know, the gaming scene. Well, actually, it didn't completely change it, because Halo had already started that process on the Xbox. But, you know, it was like this big thing, you know, and, you know, Killzone, all of these games, they're shooters. They're just shooters. And I don't mind shooters. I don't. I can play shooter games. I am not very good at them anymore. I was fairly decent at console shooters. I tried to get into PC shooters. I even, you know, went online and found out all these little tips, like turning off your hardware acceleration on your mouse, and turning off the built-in hardware acceleration in Windows 7, trying to get rid of the hardware acceleration that's in the games themselves. But for some reason, some games actually have that built in, so that, you know, your mouse does not move correctly, and you know, that can be annoying. But I've tried my best to follow all of those guidelines to get better at shooters, and I'm not bad. I'm not going to say I'm the worst guy in the world. I'm good enough. I'm not amazing. I'm not an MLG player. I cannot beat good players at the game. And if I do, it's by pure luck. It's not, you know, I have no real skill in shooters. Now, I have posted one gameplay video of me playing Battlefield, and, you know, that's a little bit representative. Is that I'm decent at being tactical sometimes, but I'm not, you know, I'm not impressive at any sort of shooter games. I'm probably better at, like, I don't know, maybe DayZ in terms of, you know, shooter games, because that's less about accuracy and more about, you know, being smart and, you know, hiding, which I'm good at. I'm really good at hiding. That was kind of, you know, my trick in any shooter, was that I was good at hiding and avoiding people knowing where I was, just shooting them in the back. So, that kind of sums up this generation, is that it's been shooters. It's been an entire generation of shooters. And I'm just sort of hoping that moving forward we'll see more diversity. And I can't guarantee that. I'm actually fairly certain that it is going to be another shooter-dominated generation, because unlike previous generations, I don't think there's going to be as much of a phase in which there is room for innovation, mainly because this generation is going to be very similar to the previous generation in terms of, like the control scheme, the control setup, the options you have available to you. It's just going to be better, basically. Better graphics, better gameplay, bigger games, stuff like that. And that's cool. That might keep me interested. But the last thing that really excited me in this generation was like Demon Souls and Dark Souls, because they brought in something that I hadn't seen in a while. It was a game that was built around like challenge, and it kind of actually reminded me a little bit of like Resident Evil. You know how in Resident Evil you have to the older Resident Evil, obviously, not Resident Evil 4 and beyond, where you have to like manage your inventory, you have to manage your ammunition, you have to pick your battles, you have to work your way through the game. The entire game is a puzzle. It is a singular puzzle. How do I get from the beginning of the game to the end of the game? How do I complete the game? And, that puzzle can actually get you stumped. It hasn't happened to me in Resident Evil, because they're actually very good about giving you ways out of difficult situations. And a lot of the ways that's how Demon Souls and Dark Souls are as well. They give you ways of moving forward in the game. But, Demon Souls and Dark Souls, they offered a gameplay experience that was not present in this gaming generation. Also worth noting, I have no idea what gameplay you guys are watching right now, because I haven't decided yet. There's a good chance that you guys are watching Dark Souls right now, and if you are, good. If not, it's because I chose something else. But do leave a comment in the comment section below telling me what I put as gameplay for this video, because I don't know yet. I will know by the time I post the video. I'm obviously just kidding with you, but right now I don't know, because I'm doing the audio first and not the gameplay. So I am also not commenting on the gameplay at all. If you guys were hoping for live commentary, then you will be grossly disappointed. So, like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, those were a little bit unique. Call of Duty and Battlefield, they can't satisfy me anymore. I really can't play them. Like literally, I have bought every Call of Duty game since Call of Duty 4. Yeah, every Call of Duty game since Call of Duty 4 on the consoles and PC, not the handheld versions. But I've invested in those, and like Black Ops 2, it's a good game. I can't play it. It's not that I'm bad at it. I'm fine at it. I'm completely average, but I can't play it. It's just not fun. And I went out and I got Battlefield 3. That was fun for a while, but I can't play it anymore. It's just not. It's not satisfying me. It's not making me enjoy it. And I feel like now is a really, really, really good time for a new console. Now is a really, really good time to step the game up, to move forward. I can't just sit around and play this generation of games anymore. I don't have that excitement anymore. Even, Dark Souls and Demon Souls are starting to get boring for me. One of the reasons I moved to PC is because at least the PC is a little ahead. And it's still being held back. I'll get to that in a minute. But we really need to see a real shift forward. Because the Wii U, once again, not a shift forward. The Wii U is just bringing the Wii up to the current generation. Now, I'm waiting for Sony, and I'm also waiting for Microsoft to push us forward, to go forward a generation. And, for those of you who are PC gamers, and remember, I am primarily a console gamer. I was a console gamer up until relatively recently. I got a PC that was at least medium range, so I could play some modern games. And, I enjoy PC gaming. I've always enjoyed it. But I've always been more console than PC. But I am on the PC gamer's side when I say that today's consoles are holding PCs back. This was not the case before, because back in the day, like when the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube were out, and PlayStation 2 and stuff like that, generally games for PC and games for console were different games. They played differently. They did not tend to transfer from one console to the other. There were some notable exceptions. Things like, they brought Resident Evil 4 to PC. They brought some of the other Resident Evil games to PC. Really, I just think it's Capcom, but it wasn't as common for a console game to also be released on PC, and it was at least not common for a PC game to be released on consoles. And if they were released as completely different games and completely different experiences. You can see this with, for instance, what's the name of it? Is it Baldur's Gate? Yeah, Baldur's Gate for PC, Baldur's Gate for, I believe maybe it's Xbox. They're completely different. They do not resemble each other at all. They're completely different games and nothing in common with each other. And you can see that in other games as well. I just can't remember any off the top of my head. But with this generation, console games are ported to PC. That is generally how it's made. They are made with computers, so they are made with PCs, but they are made for the consoles. They are made to operate on the Xbox 360 primarily, and ported to the PS3, oftentimes poorly, and ported to PC, once again poorly. However, with the port to PC, you see an even worse situation, because with the PC, they think, well, we'll upgrade the standards a little bit, so you get better graphics, you get better resolutions, you get oftentimes a lot of better gameplay experiences, but it requires a lot more RAM, a lot more CPU. It's just difficult because you're running a game that is not optimized for PCs a lot of the time. And like the only game that really sort of stands out here, the only thing that gives us like a sneak peek forward, is really Crysis 3 right now. And there are a couple other games that were made for PC that show us, that the current generation of PCs are leaps and bounds beyond what the consoles are. And even though the next generation consoles are not going to be as good, they're going to propel things forward. Because on PC, the console games are still higher resolution, better graphics, better processing, better after processing, more effects, oftentimes additional gameplay, things like that, that are specific to the PC, and, modding capabilities and stuff as well. So all of those little tidbits, but they are going to be based off of a stronger console, which means that the leap forward will be more significant. So hopefully it will be a more noticeable and more profound leap forward, both for consoles and for PCs. Now, obviously, this isn't going to come like all in one go. It's going to take a little while, because you have like the period of the beginning of a generation where like it's primarily ports. This was especially bad on the Wii because everything was a port. There were almost no original titles at launch for the Wii, and the ones that were original titles, like Red Steel, did not turn out that well. The PS3 had similar issues, but they at least had a couple, hallmark games that stood out. You had like Warhawk, you had Resistance, Fall of Man, and stuff like that. They came early in the console's life cycle that propelled it forward and helped it to gain traction and momentum, so that Xbox didn't completely leave it in the dust and completely obliterate it. And it was pretty close. At least in Europe, the Xbox did completely crush the PS3. In Japan, it was the other way around. Like, everything was PS3. But, that was almost the end of the PS3. And the Xbox had the same problem for a while, that they had a lot of ports and a lot of games that looked like they could very well have been previous gen games. But, it worked out in the end. It takes a while, but then you get to this sort of free season where up until now it's been ports, it's been like lackluster titles, or not lackluster, but like, how should I put this? Early titles that don't stand out that much. And then you'll have the developers that actually take the risk and say, right now is a good time to release something new, something innovative. And that is like the beginning of the high season for gaming. It usually takes a year, maybe two, to get into that. So the first year of the console's life cycle, I'm still going to get the PS4, but the first year of the console's life cycle, it will be primarily first-party games that make big splashes, and it will be improved and enhanced ports from the previous consoles, and that's like the transition period. And then towards the end of that year, probably next Christmas season, we'll start getting those heavy hitters from third parties that really shake the foundations of that console generation. And it'll start to bring the push forward into the high season. But right now, the current generation consoles are past their prime. They are in the period that I call the stagnation period. And the stagnation period is unfortunately long and painful. And it takes a while because the console developers want to get the most out of it, because investing in a new console is expensive. Very expensive, and it takes a lot of time. So they want to push that, they want to prolong that period as long as possible. So stagnation can be really bad, and for me it's been really, really bad because I have a lot of stuff I need to do. I have work, I have real life commitments, things like that. And I don't have all of the time in the world to play games. And so when I play games, I want to be able to enjoy them. I want to be able to sit down and relax for a little bit and enjoy games. And right now I can't enjoy them. I can't get into them. And I have to go back to like older games from earlier in the generation, like when things were in their prime, to enjoy them. And it's a pain. I'm really looking forward to the next generation of consoles because I want to get excited again. I want to get excited about gaming again. I don't want to sit back and stare at my PC screen looking at all of these games that have such great potential and then watch them all fail one by one. Now, this isn't the case with everything. Like I said, Mass Effect 3, Crysis 3 is like one of these big games. I'm kind of looking forward to getting into that, and there are a couple others, and I'll get to them in a minute. But now that we're starting to reach the the closing point of this little vlog here, I thought I would let you in on what the opening joke was. Obviously, you guys have no idea what I was talking about. I was just complaining about tea. Basically, my oven doesn't work, or it does work, but it makes arcing sounds, like electrical sounds, like buzz, bzz, bzz, and so I don't trust it. And the reason, the funny thing about that is that this is a brand new oven in a brand new apartment that was just built, and I have just moved in here, and that's really really annoying because when you buy something new, you kind of expect it to work. This is kind of like the Xbox Red Ring of Death experience all over again. Like when people first got the Xbox 360s, they had issues with I believe it was the CPU. I'm not entirely sure, but people had to return the first generation Xbox because it had faults and it was crashing. And even like all of the early generation Xboxes had problems with the Red Ring of Death, and even some of the later generation Xboxes still have that problem where you are playing the game and beep, Red Ring of Death. Your console doesn't work anymore. You need to return it. And the funny thing is that that was another thing that kind of became a hallmark of this generation, because the same thing happened to the PS3. It didn't happen as often, but the first generation PS3s had a fault wherein I believe it was the entire motherboard, or entire part of the motherboard that would just release itself from the motherboard. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but this happened through completely normal use. It didn't happen as quickly as with the Xbox, so people didn't know about it, but within like a couple of years, your PS3 will break. And it happened to nearly every PS3. And after it happens the first time, you can I believe it's called reflow. Is that what it's called? Reflow? You could reflow it so that all of the components would then reattach themselves to the motherboard, but it would happen again every few months from then on out. So you would have to reflow it all the time, and that was an issue. And you could trade it in, you could get a new one. And the second generation had, at least for me, it had a problem with the fan, where the fan would break after a while through normal use. So consoles today are just not built to last like the older consoles were, in my opinion, because my Nintendo 64 still works. My GameCube still works. My Game Boy still works. And if my Super Nintendo had not been stolen, it would still work. The same with my Nintendo. Well, my Super Nintendo was not technically stolen. I left it with my father's family. But my father and his girlfriend broke up, and she took the Super Nintendo with them, and also one of my games. And then, I brought my own Super Nintendo, which had I had a couple games left over. Basically, the ex-girlfriend of my father took one of my favorite games with them, and a couple others that I had brought with me. And then, I brought my own Super Nintendo, and I don't know what my father did with that. It just was not there anymore when I came back the next time. So, lesson to be learned, do not leave things with your father. Or at least don't leave things with my father. I'm not entirely sure what he does with things. It's cool. It's just, I would like to still have my Super Nintendo. Mainly because, that's awesome. But, there are emulators now. I can go online and play Super Nintendo games illegally. Not that I endorse that or anything, but at least I had a Super Nintendo, so I'm basically just taking advantage of the fact that I used to own Super Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. So I'll also quickly wrap up what games I'm looking forward to this year. I'm gonna end this episode right about now. I'm really looking forward to the DayZ standalone. I hope you guys are too, because it doesn't. It's not that it's really going to be groundbreaking in anything. I'm a little bit worried about it because now that it's directly being developed by Bohemia Interactive, along with the team that made DayZ, I'm a little worried they might be cutting corners, because that is basically what Bohemia Interactive is most known for, is that they make really ambitious products and they cut corners. And it's not that their games are bad. If you look at like Arma 2, it's not bad. But Arma 2 was released, it was one of those games that was released that people just said, you know, this game isn't finished. The AI was annoying. It suffered from what I call the what's it called again? The inability to perceive terrain issue, wherein the AI can see through things that you can't. So, like smoke, bushes, trees, things that are visible on your screen are transparent for the AI. Or at least the AI does not register them and does not care about them. And as such, they can shoot you straight through it. And this was a common problem with a lot of shooters back in the day, because, you know, the AI would only perceive actual solid objects as impossible to shoot through. And sometimes they wouldn't even perceive that. Sometimes they would just shoot at the wall and the bullets would be stopped by the wall. But with this game, they would just shoot through trees and stuff like that. And it was a problem with the original Operation Flashpoint, which they developed, and Cold War Assault, which they developed before Codemaster took over Operation Flashpoint. So it's not that I think that they're bad developers, it's more that I know that they tend to do those kind of things. They take easy way outs with AI, with pathfinding, and in other stages of development. So I'm just thinking, you know, DayZ standalone's probably going to be really good, but I'm almost expecting that we're going to be finding noticeable shortcuts that have been taken along the way. And I'm a little bit worried about that, but I'm still excited. I want to see what they can make with this. You know, like a full DayZ experience would be really great, because what's bogging it down right now is, you know, the really weird inventory system, the really weird repair systems, and the abomination that is hacking. Also, I'm looking forward to playing Crysis 3. I haven't played it yet. I know it's already out. I know. I'll probably buy it. It looks really, really sweet, and I want to get it for my PC, and I want to get it for my console, because my PC is not optimized to run it, so it might actually look better on console for me, just because, you know, my PC is not the most amazing gaming PC. Let's see, is there anything else I'm really looking forward to? I don't know, there's not a lot left to look forward to this generation. To be honest, I'm really just looking forward to seeing what comes up next, and I'm really looking forward to Destiny, even though that's coming out next year. And, you know, that's about it. I would say... Yeah, I would say that's about it. So, I'm gonna wrap up this video now. I hope whatever gameplay I chose to put in here is decent, at least. I would assume it is, because I now have some time on my hands to actually produce some quality gameplay. But I have to go to work in an hour, so I'm a sign off now, and I just waved to you guys and you can't see it. Imagine that in your heads. See ya.